What if retirement wasn't the end of your best years, but instead the start of something extraordinary? More and more women are stepping away from their traditional careers in their 50s and 60s, and they're finally ready to focus on their health, on their passion projects, and on their purpose. I know this because I'm one of them. The transition, though, can sometimes feel overwhelming and even a bit scary, particularly because we're older. Today, though, I'm going to share with you 9 strategies that I've found that are helpful in staying healthy, discovering new purpose, and living with joy in the retirement years. And these are for folks in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. I'm also going to give you some action tips to help ensure success and stay until the end. Because strategy number 7 is one of the most overlooked, but if you pay attention to it, it can transform how you experience this next chapter. Number 1 is to reframe retirement as a new beginning. The goal here is to get away from the old thinking of retirement as being a time where you're no longer productive, where you basically fold up and die. Research in the Journal of Gerontology that was published in 2018 found that having a positive view of aging is linked to better physical and cognitive health outcomes. So here's your action tip. Create a vision board for your next phase. Be explicit and include photos, words, and symbols of what excites you and what you want to accomplish. Give yourself permission to dream without limiting that dream. Do you want to travel? If so, where? For how long? What do you want to see? Do you want to start a new business? Retirement for some simply means leaving that 9 to 5 where they were required to work, but they now start a new passion project or business on the side. If the vision board is too overwhelming for you, just write down 3 things you want to learn and explore during this phase and take them one at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself and work on that thing. The second one is to shift your identity. This is really important. One of the issues that occur with leaving the workforce is that people hold on to that career identity. A YouTuber here that I watch sometimes by the name of Joe, he talks about the fact that when you're retiring, consider not what you're retiring from, but what you're retiring to. And many times people forget that piece. That also speaks to the new post-work identity that you need to embrace. It reflects a natural process of moving away from that employee mindset and embracing a new phase in life with different priorities and new roles. And it can be exciting if you make it so. Here's the action tip. Make connections that are unrelated to work. This could include joining a social, a running, or an exercise club or group where you're going to meet new people. Number 3 is to prioritize physical activity. Yes, for some, working really long hours often prevented the focus on physical activity. Well, retirement can offer the time to allow you to prioritize your physical health and your wellness. In addition, most of us retire in our 50s and 60s. And we know that physical activity not only helps us to stay mobile, strong, active, flexible, and independent, but it lowers our risk of certain diseases and even of early death. There was a study published in 2019 in JAMA, and it showed that just 30 minutes, 5 times a week of moderate exercise can lower all-cause mortality by as much as 24%. The action tip here is to talk with your doctor first before starting an exercise program. This is especially important if you were sedentary before. Want to make sure there are no underlying issues that you need to be aware of, right? So talk with your doctor first and get clear before starting a program. The next thing is to consider trying something new. This is a time to try new things. Tai Chi, aqua aerobic, pickleball. These activities are not only great for balance, mobility, and your heart health, but many times they allow you to interact with others. And we know that social interaction is really important as we're getting older. Another tip is to schedule these activities much the way you would a doctor's appointment. These are important activities, and you want to put them down on your calendar. Make sure your brain knows that these are important. The physical activity, your physical wellness and health is important. Number 4 is to explore volunteering and mentorship. These are two things that I've gotten involved in, and it's been very much a blessing for me and the mentee. I found that volunteering allows me to help someone who's less fortunate than I am. And when I mentor, it allows me to help someone prevent making mistakes that I probably had made. The cool thing is volunteering and mentoring allows both parties to benefit. A Harvard Health report actually found that older adults who volunteered, they experience less depression and better cognitive function. So here's your action tip. Offer to mentor young professionals in your former field. This is particularly helpful for those of us who still have an attachment to that field. And that will allow you to give the knowledge and experience that you have. Another option is to find a cause that lights you up. This is a time where you're doing things that you really want to do and commit to about 2 to 4 hours a week. Number 5 is to develop a passion project. Frontiers in Psychology in 2021 share that engaging in creative activity is actually associated with a slower cognitive decline. The action step here is to start a garden, or better yet, participate in a community garden, because that's going to allow and encourage healthier eating, but also you're going to interact with the other gardeners, which is another benefit because, as I pointed out before, social interaction is so important. Another thing to consider is to write a memoir or learn a new instrument. These activities are not just enjoyable and fulfilling, but they have health benefits, particularly for your cognitive health. And that's important as we are getting older. Remember to dedicate specific times to these projects. Number 6 is to nurture your social connection. I alluded to that several times before because it is so important, right? Loneliness has been shown to increase your risk of dementia by as much as 50%. We also know that when people get older and when they are removed from the workplace due to retirement or other reasons, this often increases social isolation. You don't have those workmates anymore. And forming relationships later in life tend to be challenging. It actually means that you have to be more intentional about seeking out and nurturing those relationships. Your action tip here is consider joining a club or community group. Join a walking group, as you can have multiple benefits with that. Another group that is often inexpensive and is something that I've done in the past is to join something like Toastmasters, because you'll have weekly meetings, you're meeting the same people, increases the chance of forming relationships, but you're also developing a new skill. You're learning communication skills and you're improving your brain's health or your cognitive health. So consider these things. Another often overlooked tip is to schedule weekly coffee, tea, or walks with friends that you already have to nurture those relationships. Number 7 is to rediscover your purpose. One thing is that many retired people complain that they don't feel like they have a purpose because they're not working, so they're not contributing, and that makes them feel not useful. But purpose does not only come from workplace. You can develop purpose in other ways. An article published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, or JAMA, in 2019 showed that people with strong sense of purpose, they tended to have a lower rates of diseases like stroke, dementia, and depression. So it's important to get a sense of purpose. And here are some action steps, particularly if you're over 50, to develop purpose. Do some reflection. Figure out what gives your life meaning at this current stage in your life, because it will be different. Write a statement, a purpose statement, keep it visible. look at that statement, change it, revisit it. You are going to evolve. So revise that statement as you evolve. Number 8 is to establish a daily rhythm. When I stepped away from traditional work, I was going to say traditional 9 to 5, but in my case, it was more like 9 to 9. Um, when I stepped away, I found that I did not have a daily routine. My routine was disrupted. So I would sleep at odd hours. I would wake up whenever, and my meals were at different times. So I lost the routine that you might have when you are at work. And my sleep was disrupted. We've found studies that show that sleeping at a regular interval and having meals at a regular interval can improve your metabolic and cognitive health. So here's what I did, and I think is helpful. I created a gentle routine. Gentle, I mean, it wasn't rigid, but it was within a certain window. And this routine allowed for a daily time of waking up, daily movement, social interaction, a specific time that I would go to sleep. I used my Aura ring to track when I was way off and kind of brought me back. And on my watch, I programmed how much movement I wanted to do. And my watch would let me know when I met my goal, when I was close to it, when I was further off. And that kind of kept me honest. So find ways to make sure that you are keeping a routine. The ninth one is to be bold in retirement. It's a chance to shed your constraint of traditional work life and explore interests that you previously held, but you thought you couldn't do. Embark on this new adventure. This is a time where you can go into self-discovery and personal growth and just allow yourself to pursue the goals that you previously thought were unattainable. You just didn't have time for them. I'm someone who typically color within the lines. And I found myself exploring things that I previously would not have necessarily explored, charting new journey in entrepreneurship, in writing, in online work, pursuing new hobbies, and so forth. Retirement does not have to be the end of the career. It should mean new beginnings to a richer, healthier, and more bold life. But you have to be intentional by designing your days around your passion, your purpose, around health and wellness. And by doing this, you can thrive for decades to come. If you found anything here helpful, please give it a like. And remember to subscribe for more strategies on healthy aging and longevity. And let me know which one of these resonates with you, or maybe you found something that you want to share with us down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Dr. Diane Thompson.